This video will discuss strategies for dividing by sixes. So in dividing by 6, the most efficient strategy is to think multiplication. So here we have 18 divided by 6. So instead of thinking of that, I'm going to think, what is 6 times what is 18? So you'll notice that in our division problem, we start off with the total. One way to interpret this is, I have 18. If I have 6 in a group, how many groups would I have? So how many 6s are in 18? 18 is my total. In multiplication, that number ends up at the end, so that's the product. So if I switch this and think of 6 times what is 18, I can figure out what 18 divided by 6 is. 6 times 3 is 18, so therefore 18 divided by 6 is 3. But what if I don't know my multiplication facts? What if I just can't remember? There are other strategies to figure this out. So here we have 48 divided by 6, and if I can't think 6 times what is 48, I could use this strategy of skip counting. So I'm going to skip count by 6s. I'm going to find out how many 6s are in 48, and I'm going to keep track on my fingers. So that would sound like this: 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, 48. So as I'm skip counting, I'm keeping track, and I know that I counted by 6s 8 times. So 48 divided by 6 is 8. But you'll notice that it's not that efficient, and counting by 6s isn't that easy. So what are some other strategies we could use that are more efficient if I don't know the multiplication problem? Well, I could use the distributive property of multiplication, and I could kind of apply it to division. I could take 42 divided by 6, and I could chunk that out into smaller pieces to figure that out. So 42 divided by 6. Maybe I don't know. I'm first going to think 6 times what is 42, and if I don't know that, I'm going to use a fact I already know. I'm going to use a divided by 6 fact that I already know. Well, I know that 30 divided by 6 is 5. And I really like these types of facts with that end in 5 because it makes this mental math process it makes it easier. So I've used 42 of my total, and I had 42, and I've used 30 of that. So now I know that I have 12 left. So now I have to take that 12, and I still have to divide it by 6. Notice the divisor isn't changing. And I know 12 divided by 6 is 2. So now I add those two quotients together and bring them back up. I know that 42 divided by 6 is 7. So here's another way to look at that strategy. It's the exact same strategy. It's just using a different model. So I have 54 divided by 6. So here I see that the total area of this pink rectangle is 54. I know one of my side lengths is 6. So I'm going to think 6 times what is 54? Let's say I don't know that answer off the top of my head. So I want to break up this area, this rectangle, into smaller pieces to, just make it a little easier on myself. So I like those 5 facts. So I might think, well, I know that 30 divided by 6. I know that fact, and I know that that's 5. So I had 54 as a total, and you'll see that I just used 30, and mentally I can solve that really quick. I know there's 24 left. So that means that this area here of the rectangle is representing 24 divided by, and it's still 6. The divisor stays the same. And I know 24 divided by 6 is 4. So now all I have to do is take both of those side lengths, this 5 and this 4, and I know that 54 divided by 6 equals 9. So just to review those strategies, when dividing by 6s, I'm first going to think of the multiplication problem. I'm first going to think, do I know 6 times what is 36? Because if I can figure that out, I can quickly figure out the answer, the quotient. But if I don't know that, I'm going to use a fact I already know. So again, I really like those 5 facts. I'm going to think, what fact do I know? I know 30 divided by 6 is 5. And since I have 36 and I've used up 30, I know that really I actually only have 6 left, and I'm still dividing by 6, which is 1. And now when I put those quotients together, I know that 36 divided by 6 equals 6. So remember, when dividing by 6s, you're going to first think multiplication. You're going to think, what times 6 equals that dividend, the total? You're going to use a fact you already know. You're going to chunk it out like we were using, and we kind of, in this video, relied heavily on the fact we knew that would give us a 5, but you can use any fact that you know. Or our third option, and probably the least efficient, would be to skip count by sixes until you get to the dividend. These first two are really our most efficient. I know the second one, as we talk through it, you might think that really took a long time to talk through, but you'll get much more efficient with it, and it goes a lot quicker once you're doing those things in your head, and it actually will become a better strategy than to skip count.